Okay, so welcome back.
Thank you.
I know you live in New York. So it's easiest when someone who went to Cornell to start at the beginning. So graduated when? What school?
Okay, 98, human ecology.
Yep.
I love how Daniel painted a picture of what 98 looked like, except he was using the internet and I was not.
Well, it's because you're in human ecology.
I was in human ecology,
right.
I had a bust form for apparel design. It was funny though, because he was talking about doing things online, and it was like, I went to school with a word processor. I think I started using my Cornell address like senior year though.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, I graduated in '87.
Yes.
We had floppy disks that always got lost.
Exactly.
So you built this incredible company, the Laundress, over a long period of time. And we're going to take a little tour down how that happened and where it is now. It's incredibly successful, very, very colorful. So graduated from human ecology, and then what did you do right after graduation?
I got on a plane with a backpack and I flew to Egypt.
For what? A little vacation?
Well, I was a design major, so unlike all of my friends, I did not have a job or a signing bonus that could afford a deposit for an apartment. So I took an offer from a friend to backpack from Egypt to Moscow and spend the summer in Moscow, because why not? Why would you not do that?
It's a perfect time, right? And how long did all this take?
So I came back in August.
Okay, so it's only a couple months.
Yeah.
3 months. And were you thinking about some company idea when this was happening? Like,
Actually, ironically, my business partner who went to Cornell, we graduated in '98 together, we had an idea that we were interested, that we did pursue throughout that spring, summer, fall. We had a makeup company idea that we still say, that still hasn't been done. And we actually did go meet vendors and went to some factories and had some meetings, but then she did have a job to start in September. Okay. I still didn't. I had to be back in New York to get a job, to go interview for, in design, they want you on the spot and start the next day.
Yeah.
Different experience.
So did you actually get a job?
I eventually got a job, yes.
And where was this job?
I had a job at Ralph Lauren, and I interned at Ralph Lauren through college, or high school, and then into college. And then I got a position sometime in that fall. But I still wasn't convinced on signing a lease. And I was in women's design, it was amazing, but I was not in the right department. It didn't suit my skill sets, but I just needed to have the job. So I stayed like 3 months, and then I went to the mailroom and I FedExed an envelope to this organization called BUNAC that gave student visas. So I got a student visa. Australia was already closed out, so I applied to the UK. I got my visa, and I was on a plane to get into the country by December 31st, when I was no longer considered a student for the visa.
And the purpose of this was what? Just to get away?
I needed to continue my education.
So you come back to New York, you get a job with Ralph Lauren.
Yes.
You leave after 3 months.
Yes.
This is sort of like Scott's story, but just a little more condensed, right?
What did I do in London? So I got to London. It was December 31st. I didn't know that no one worked in the UK until like January 25th. So I had like plan D to like A through F, and there was a tailor I really wanted to work with, and I went and met with him, and I said, I really want to work with you, and he's like, that's great.
You just like showed up?
I showed up. This like kind of pre-Google too.
Yeah.
So I called and I said, can I come for an appointment?
Like on a rotary phone?
I had like a BT calling card.
Okay.
Yes.
Sorry, that was a joke. Yeah.
No, but it's true-ish. So I showed up to the tailor. He's like, great, can't pay you. And then I went to this leather worker, and I was like, really love your work. Great, can't pay you. And I'm like, okay. And then, I kept going, and then I ended up getting a job and selling shirts at Thomas Pink on German Street. And then I took classes in tailoring at night. I took an Italian class. I just need to keep going. I need to keep learning. Because when I was in college, I studied apparel design. I studied shoemaking for my semester abroad in the UK. That's when I did my first, I did an internship in PR, hated PR. Did an internship in a magazine in London at Tatler. It was incredible. It was a small team. Ironically, the small team that I work with went on to found like Net-a-Porter and all these other amazing businesses in this small little group. Came to New York, was looking at working in a magazine, but they were going to pay me less than my Cornell tuition, and I qualified for food stamps. That was not an option. So I kept on kind of searching for where I wanted to be.
So how long were you in the UK?
The second time, another 6 months.
And then you came back?
Then I came back. I ended up actually going back. While I was in the UK, I ended up getting hired by Ralph Lauren in the UK. And
so like after you left, after 3 months, they still wanted to hire you back?
Yeah, so I got hired for the UK.
Nice.
They were rebuilding their flagship store, and I was hired as it about to open, and I was hired for the cashmere bar girl. So I stood and I was like, hi, welcome to Ralph Lauren. Here's my cashmere bar. And so I folded the sweaters perfectly all day long. And
sounds exhilarating.
Exhilarating. Yeah. No, but it was fun. I met a lot of amazing people. And then while I was doing that, I met this team from Polo Store Development, who were the team that built these incredible stores. And the VP of operations was like, call me when you get back, and we'll figure something out. You have like a great work ethic, you're into it, like let's figure it out. So I contacted him when I got back, and I met him, and he's like, okay, I got my eyes and ears open, what do you want to do? Who can I introduce you to? And then he called me and he said, I have a job for you. My assistant's getting promoted, and you can come work with me until, and you can interview around the company. And I'm like, that's great. Can you wait like 3 weeks? I'm about to go to Nepal, and I'll get back to you when I come home.
And the Nepal trip was just for more education?
Yeah,
right?
And then I was like buying pashmina, and then I met this craftsman there, and then I designed a line of clothes, and then I had to make it. It was just like I was doing things.
Right. You're a doer.
I was doing.
You're a doer. So you finally come back to New York.
Come back to New York.
And you never worked for Ralph Lauren again?
No, he hires me back. So then I take the job with him. And then I worked at Polo Store Development. And then he placed me, or he didn't place me, but he connected me with, this is a great tie-in I didn't even know about. He connected me with...
Just for the record, I haven't known about any of this yet, so you're right, I don't know about it.
He connected me with this amazing man named Calvin Churchman, who then hired me and was my boss for a number of years, like 4, and interviewed me to be in his department. He was the head of furniture, and he did all the furniture, but he didn't have any textile or leather background, and that's what he hired me to do because that's what I had the background in. So I had a very autonomous role in that department while I came in at like a low-level, plebeian
And about
designer.
what years are we talking about? Like what to when?
I mean, all of that happened in 1 year, so I was still 23.
But you worked for this person
until launching the Laundress.
So from about maybe 2003?
About 5 years, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's move to the Laundress now. So what gave you the idea?
So
you win.
Here you go. So Calvin Churchman, he said, what do you want to do here? I said, I want to get paid to travel around the world and do my job. And he's like, okay, we can do that. So I had this incredible job. I was going to Italy multiple times a year. I was going to South America. I was created a leather business from South American vendors in Buenos Aires, and it was amazing. Going to London, Paris. Polo is a very generous travel package. So I was flying on business and going to the top 5-star luxury hotels while I was getting paid nothing and praying.
Well, but you were getting paid in a sense because you got to travel around.
Right. But I was like coming home, dragging my suitcase up on my 6th floor walk up, hoping I wasn't bouncing my rent check while I was away. And one day we're driving around in a town car, as you did back in 2002 or whatever. And we were driving around running errands in the city, and I was telling him about this idea I had. I said, I really want to have this company where, it's a service and it's a place and you can drop off your laundry, but it operates like a dry cleaner, but it's really laundry, and you can get your cashmere sweaters hand washed, and you could air dry your jeans, and you could get the armpit stains out and perfectly press the shirts, but it's all laundry. It's not dry cleaning, and you have these amazing products that are meant for all of these purposes. And he turns to me and says, Gwen, sounds like the Laundress. And I was like, yes.
So there's the name.
There it is. There it is. So then about 2 weeks later, I come back to my desk from a long weekend or whatever, and there is a photocopy taped to my computer monitor. And it's highlighted and circled. And it was circled in the core. It was a photocopy from the Learning Annex, and it said, how to start your own laundromat. And
so your boss put this on your computer.
The boss put this on my computer.
So your boss, who loves you, says, go start your company.
So
That's
he was
incredible.
so excited.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'll pay for you to go to class if it was like $60 or something, or $40. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'll pay for the class, but thank you so much. So I went to the Learning Annex on like a Tuesday night, and I had my notebook and a navy blue ribbon in my hair, and I was taking extreme notes on laundry mats and what I needed, and how to pull in the power lines, and how much a machine cost to rent, and the insurance, and the profitability, and you need a change machine to put the quarters in to get the boxes of Tide out to people to use, and all this stuff. But I wasn't really looking for a laundromat, but it gave me a start. It was the research start. So after that, so then I called up my good friend Lindsey, who I had that other idea with before, and
when was the last time you had talked to Lindsey?
We were like, great friends. We
Okay.
were partying, we were getting
Okay.
nails done, we were like, everything was happening.
But she wasn't traveling around like you.
No, she was.
That's awesome.
Yeah, because she was working for Chanel, and she was living out of her suitcase, and she would dump her bag, she'd be on a 10-day rotation, and she would dump her suitcase. She lived above a dry cleaner, and she would drop her entire, Chanel Roadshow wardrobe off, and $200 later be ready to go back on the road. And that was a ton of money on a 2-week rotation. So we were both saddled with, she had this wardrobe and her rotation where she was dry cleaning, she was hand washing a lot of her stuff in her apartment in between, getting back on. I was living in a 6th floor walk up in a 2-bedroom apartment that we converted to 3, and this is the West Village, so it wasn't tremendously convertible. And I was filling up my bag and going on the New Jersey Transit to my mom's house to hand wash my cashmere sweaters and air dry my jeans and iron my shirts and do all of those things that I was trying to accomplish. So we met for dinner one night, and I said, I have this idea. Are you interested in pursuing it with me? And she said, yep, absolutely.
And this was still the real Laundress idea.
This was the Laundress. This was
the physical space idea.
It was at the time, and the business plan was written that it was all encompassing, and the business plan was written from my textbook from Professor Urban Daniel, Entrepreneurship and Enterprise. And taking that book, with fish sticks as the example in Maine, and converting Maine fish sticks, laundry detergent, easy bridge. So the original business plan we wrote before we knew how to make soap, before anything. We took that textbook, we wrote all of the chapters, the whole thing. And the plan originally had one institute, and it was we were modeling ourselves off of what it was Bumble and Bumble and Bliss Spa. And at the time, those businesses were one institute in New York City, that had products sold all around the world. So you could be in Paris and buy a body scrub. You could be in Tokyo and get the body butter for Bliss, or that experience. So you could have a Bliss Spa experience or a Laundress experience wherever you were. But that main hub was in New York. And what ended up happening, so then we wrote the plan, and then we had to learn how to make soap. Small detail. So we looked back to Cornell and contacted
The soap professor.
the soap professor.
Because there probably is one, yeah.
Yes, big time,
Yeah.
big soap professor. So this woman, Kate Obendorf, was the department chair at the time for a couple of years when we were there. We knew who she was. She was this like lovely grandmotherly figure who was the fiber science expert, and she was the head of the department. But she didn't talk to the design people. She was like with people who were inventing materials for hearts and stuff, like doing like other technical things. So I wrote her. Went into Cornell.com and found her, and
Gwen, that would be cornell.edu.
yeah, it's edu.
Come on.
Found Kay.
By the way, this is the easiest interview ever because I think I've asked like 3 questions. This is perfect. So keep going. I mean, it's like fascinating, actually. I really can't believe it. I did prepare for this, and I never expected all of this. So I'm like delighted.
So Kay Obendorf said, "Hi, I don't know if you remember us. I'm Gwen. This is Lindsey. We were TXA, design management. We never had you teach our class, but we're interested in making detergent, and I know that you are a detergent expert. Would you consider meeting with us?" And she's like, "Yeah, sure. Send me a list of questions, and let's pick a date." So we picked a date. Now, somewhere between writing the plan, emailing Kay, having planned to go to Cornell, we did an official launch. We need money, right?
Yeah.
We were living check to check, barely. We had no money, and we were just needing money to like buy a textbook and get a car rental to Ithaca, let alone like some photocopies. So we were like, well, we pay $30 to go to a cocktail party. Like someone should pay $30 to come to our cocktail party for a for-profit fundraiser. So we invited all of our friends and family and dates
to your house?
To our
your apartment?
We got a bar down the street.
Okay.
That like someone sort of knew someone that could like give us a time between like 5 and 7 on a Tuesday, and we charged $30 to come to the Soap Splash at a for-profit party, and everyone came in and they were writing us checks, and we sent little thank you notes, and we raised a couple $1,000s from the Soap Splash, and that was our funding money. And the joke we always say is, we basically invented Kickstarter too.
Yeah.
We like just stuck with for-profit parties.
You actually did, yeah. This wasn't online.
It wasn't online. We sent thank you notes instead. So
old school.
Old school. So we had a couple $1,000s, like literally a couple. And we rented the car. I went to Ithaca and stayed in a little bed and breakfast, and we met with Kay. And we had sent her a list of all these questions, and we were interested in silk, and why does this bottle say this, and we're interested in wool, and what's up with the pit stains, and this whole list of things. And we had all these bags of product we had collected from all over the world. And we were reading the labels, and we were trying to figure out like why and what was happening in these bottles. And so we walk in, it's July, no one's there. We hadn't been on campus in like 5 years, real like rusty. And she says, "Where would you like to begin?" And she has this entire table stacked with textbooks and sticky notes everywhere coming all out.
Based on what you asked her?
Based on what we asked.
That's
yes.
incredible.
This is
the
Cornell.
fact
They don't
that
give anything away.
No, well,
you got to work
that
for
a
it.
faculty member would actually do that is pretty
Unbelievable.
We're always happy to answer questions, but
That's
above and beyond.
Yeah.
No pun intended. Do you guys get that? Above and beyond? Okay, never mind. Go ahead.
So we had a massive crash course in detergency and molecular structure and surfactant systems and enzymatic function and mad chemistry.
And what happened?
And then we took all the books with all the stickies, and then we went to Kinko's and spent all the money with photocopies. And then we went to the library, which it was the Man Library.
Yep. It still is.
Still there, yes. And we Nexus Lexus and did all the research and had.
So did you actually open up a laundry store?
So.
I mean, we have to kind of get to this part.
I know, right?
You have this great idea to open actual physical place.
Okay, fast forward. So now we did all that stuff. We've got sauce, we've got bottles. And
you have a name.
We have a name, and we have a company, and now we need to do something with it. And we started we did 2 year working the entire time, doing all this on the treadmill in the morning and the evening on the weekends. And I applied for a SBA loan. I got $100,000. And now what? We had to make a decision.
Yeah.
$100,000 was not going to open a store and a laundry service and buy our first production run. So we made a choice that we would buy our first production run. Lindsey would leave her job and sell this production run. I had Calvin as my boss, so I could get away with murder and do my job at the same time. So I continued for 6 months doing my job. Lindsey was selling soap, trying to. And we had 500 bottles in a warehouse that we're moving, and that was the launch with just
And how did it become this big company?
So
I mean, you obviously had a good exit. We'll talk about that.
Yes. So what happened from there? So 15 years from that day, we just grinded it out. We started selling online. Mm-hmm. Again, if anyone can think of what 15 years ago, Amazon was still selling. It was just turning the corner out of books. No one was selling anything online, let alone a consumer good, let alone a laundry detergent. It was just unheard of. But we couldn't afford a proper website, so we had a whole website that you would shop and click and then check out, and then you get an email that said, thank you for your order, but you didn't really ever enter your credit card number. So that's when I was...
This is before Shopify.
Yes,
really,
of course, it's before Shopify. Right. If it was that easy, So that's when you would get a call from Lindsey or myself or an email that would say, thank you so much for your order. We're so excited to ship it to you. I just need to get your credit card number. But we did launch with e-commerce. So we had because we were getting national press recognition, and that it was really an interesting time when things weren't so local or mass. It was, you had to have a reference point to a local store or to a large retailer, but the magazines want to write about new cool things, so then you could now point to a website, which was sort of unheard of at the time. So we had the e-commerce, we launched wholesale selling to other stores, and we also started selling internationally, pretty much all within the first year.
And you were able to build this company over 15 years.
Yes.
Without ever raising a dime, except for the first $3,000 Kickstarter party.
Our Kickstarter, right? And then the SBA, and then...
Well, the SBA was a loan, so
that was a loan, and then there were credit cards.
Well, sure, but...
It's unbelievable you can do with a credit card. So...
Please tell. I mean... So lots of credit card debt.
Yes. So it's just such a funny. I said this to one of the women at the women's breakfast this morning, and I said, well, 17 years ago, I said, oh, you're a woman, you're an entrepreneur, you can get so much money. There's so much money out there for women right now, and it was like a joke. And
right.
So a lot of money was like, oh, we'll give you $10,000, the 9% APR. I'm like, are you kidding me? I can get 0 with Amex. I'm like 20,000, thank you. So, again, I'm so fossilized and dated, but at the time, every day you come home from work and there was another envelope with the offer for a credit card in your mail.
And you just kept opening
And then
them
I
up?
would open them and I'd
the
write my
number?
name and like send it off and they send it back.
I hate to ask this question because it might not be the model of what we want to do. How many credit cards did you have?
Well,
I mean,
we
about.
call it the graveyard. And at the time, we had amassed about $250,000 worth in credit card debt.
That's
My
awesome.
mom does not know that.
I think she might know it now. I don't know.
Now she's okay.
Okay. Wow. So credit card debt, bootstrapped the company.
Yeah.
I don't know what you want to say, but by the time you exited, you had built it up to how many millions of revenue, or kind of give a ballpark if you can? I don't know.
We just continued one credit card at a time for 15 years.
Well, I realize this. So I mean, the long story, I guess not short, but the long story, sorry, the long story long. So you reportedly, I'm not asking you to confirm.
Correct.
Okay,
Yes.
reportedly sold this company to Unilever. That's true.
That is true.
That's true.
That's true.
For $100 million, somewhere around there. You and Lindsey own the whole thing.
Correct.
I mean,
Reportedly, but yes, correct.
yeah,
We own the whole
well,
thing.
that's okay. And I'm assuming it was close to 50-50. I mean, you're both working.
We were 50-50 partners.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
which is incredible. I mean, that's normal for that situation. Sorry. It's about the only thing that's normal so far. Is that you Sorry.
This is not a traditional startup story.
I can feel
So I'll give you another laugh. Ready?
No.
So 5 years ago, we finally have enough money. So at this point now you're picking and choosing where you're spending your money, right? You're buying inventory. Bear with me. You're buying inventory. You're spending a couple $100,000 on a new website. This is like every year we pick a project and pull our pennies together and get some credit cards and pay. So now 5 years ago, we finally had like a bit enough of a cushion to like blow like $200,000 on a store because they're a money suck. It takes a lot of money. New York is expensive, and usually everyone is a crook in New York, usually. So it takes a lot of money. So we put all of our pennies together and build this beautiful store, and I'm like glue gunning and doing the displays and like the whole thing.
And like the store though, it's like a marketing piece.
It's a marketing piece,
Okay.
and it's on Prince Street in Soho, and it's marketing, but like we can't lose money at it.
No, of course not. Of course.
So so that's a thing. So we finally get to that. So that was about 5 years ago. And then this is when you build it and you're like, you just wait, you hang your fly paper and you just kind of wait for someone to pick up the phone or call you one day and say, hi, I'm P&G, or hi, I want to buy your company. Like that's essentially what we were waiting, but that's like crazy, that usually doesn't happen. Until
it does.
Until a year and a half ago or 2 years ago, the guy from Unilever walks into the store and is like,
We like to buy your company.
to like our sales associate. So I get a phone call and Patty from the store, she's like, there's a guy here from Unilever, like I think you need to get down here right now. And I'm like, can you pass me the phone? And then so I was talking to him like, I'm sure Patty's giving you an awesome store tour. What's your favorite scent? Like what are you gonna buy? And then I said, oh, I'm sure he's like, oh, I'm from the M&A team. I'm like, great. I'm sure you're really busy right now.
Did you know what M&A was?
I did.
You did because you were waiting for someone to buy you. So okay. I just had to ask.
No,
And I wasn't trying to be smart or something.
No.
Or sassy.
No, I got that.
Okay.
I got that. But I also wanted this conversation not to be happening on my shop floor.
Yeah, right, of course.
I was like, can you email me?
So wait, so this is, we're almost out of time, but I actually almost need a handkerchief for this one. So you want to be bought. Like you
Well,
make
that
a
was
decision.
part of the original.
And then the offer,
original,
then the guy comes in and you're like, can you email me? Like, I mean, Gwen, why don't you just say, yeah, I'll be down there in 10 minutes? You're trying to play hard to get? I mean, what is this? I mean,
it was so awkward.
Like,
It was so awkward. And I was like, this isn't a store conversation, you know.
yeah, I get that.
It was awkward. And also, like, are we getting punked?
Yeah.
I mean, like, not a LinkedIn, not a email, not a call. Like, you know, we've Yelp. There's phone numbers. You know.
Right. So long
Story short, that lasted a really long, painful 13 months to get to the finish line.
So from that initial unexpected visit, that is quite a long time, actually.
Yeah.
And now you've exited. Do you still work there? Do you still run the company with Lindsey?
Yes, yeah.
Which is, and how long has it been since you sold?
It was the end of January.
Of just recently.
This January.
So you might be there for a bit longer.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was going to ask you, why are you still working? I mean, like, when you sell your company for a reported that amount of money, and there's only two of you who've never raised a dime except for $250,000 in credit card debt.
That's the easy part.
And apart from what you maybe gave to your employees, it was a really good payday. So, are you on to your next thing at some point? Like, what do you think?
You know, I'm still in the trenches. It's like when you sign the paper and, you know, and you don't own your baby anymore, but then you have to like show up to work the next day.
Yeah.
It's confusing.
Right, you have a boss.
You kind of do, but you kind of don't. You're not really sure. So it's been an interesting adventure since. But my main job now is to protect my baby and hand over my baby in like awesome, amazing tact for future success
Right,
together.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, this has been incredibly fun and I can really talk. Fun and entertaining. I do want to take a couple audience questions before we break, just to announce the winner of our startup pitch. So I see one over here. Just one or two. Sorry for the time crunch.
Sorry, went way off script.
No, that was perfect, actually. I don't think anybody's complaining. Okay, go ahead.
Hi, Gwen. My name is Nicole. I'm a master's in applied economics at Cornell. I'm wondering when you started, if you could talk a little bit more about production. When you started hiring people, were you producing the products by yourself, or were you
Sure.
co-packaging?
So this wasn't a product that we could make in our bathtub. I mean, a lot of soap companies are made that way. But it wasn't. It was a very sophisticated product. So
everyone got a little bag.
I know.
Product. Yeah.
I know.
Thank you for giving those to
You're
us.
welcome.
Yeah.
Luckily, I didn't ship them myself.
No.
Which I did do for many years. Production. So yeah, I did a tremendous amount of research, again, without much help of Google. That wasn't very helpful at the time. And just reading articles, and I read about a trade show for manufacturing, and I specifically remember I went on one of these like Columbus Day or some one of those weekends that I had a day off to go to this trade show, and found a manufacturer and a contract manufacturer. So we had to procure our own packaging, the bottles. We had to find a fragrance house to make the fragrances. And then the third-party manufacturer put the sauce together. But what we walked away from Cornell and with our photocopies from that time with Kay was essentially our recipes, and I like to call them closest to like baking, which is we had our recipe for our cookies. We knew we needed the walnuts and the dark chocolate and the but we needed that party to procure those ingredients and formulate and stabilize them.
It's great.
And then there's like the warehousing, outsource party, and all of those other logistics that come together.
Fantastic. One more question somewhere?
Hi.
Okay.
Hello. I'm Liz Cho, Cornell Law grad, 2004. So you were doing your startup for over 10 years, $250,000 in debt. Did you ever just look in the mirror and think, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? Should I be doing something else? And then what did you tell yourself to get through that day?
You know, honestly, that was never a hurdle for either of us. Thank God, because there was a lot, of pressure within all of that. But from day one, we really created incredible product, and we were creating a product that I say was a literal solution, a physical solution, and a literal solution. So we had this incredible product in a bottle. We also had, what came with that is this passion for know-how and our education. So every day that kept going was getting a phone call or email or any sort of magazine or article or interaction with someone saying, oh my gosh, you saved my favorite sweater. I found a Christine gown in the attic, and I followed your instructions, and it's brand new. I can't even believe it. Or over and over and over and over, and customers that would say, I'm allergic to all fragrance, but I'm not allergic to yours. Or I'm under chemo and everything's bothering me, but your products don't. And it was just over and over. So we were reassured every single day that our products were making a difference. What we say is turning an everyday chore into a luxurious experience. So we knew we had great product, and that was the fundamental of knowing that we just couldn't fail.
That's awesome. Thanks so much for coming. This has been absolutely fantastic.